What's up, guys? It's the Wolf, dressed in black and blue and a little bit of white, coming to you to talk about the private side. All right, so now we all should know by now that what we're referring to is us as natural, single, private persons are operating in the private sector. Now, you're only doing this in certain occasions. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you've built up your entire life to represent that you are a trust, a business trust, if you will, corporation, public entity, public trustee. That is your normal life. So when the state took your name from the hospital and you applied for the birth certificate or the other various benefits, privileges, rights, whatever else, and they asked you to prove residency, and you provided them with said things, you moved yourself from the private side, private sector, the living, into the public. So your name in all capitalized letters is in fact a public transmitting utility issued to you by the state, along with their other goodies. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But what it did is it turned you from being a beneficiary to a trustee, and not just a trustee or a public person, but somebody subservient underneath their political PMA, Private Members Associations. Remember, one point in time, they did say you're a non-resident. And if you wanted to be part of us and part of this, you have to prove residency. So we know that by living in any general area, that does not by itself make you one of them. If I live around all Boy Scouts or, my neighbors are the Illuminati, I don't become either one of those just because I'm living near them. I'd have to pledge or prove myself. So goes the same thing for any agency, fraternity, or whatever else it is. Now, we all know that the name in all lowercase represents us and our free name, but your name, we'll just use mine. So James C. Lovett, if that is your real name, is already formatted for a public transmitting utility, a legal entity within the U.S. corporation as a federalized state employee. My name then let me say this, my name in upper and lower shows that I'm in a mix of jurisdictions. The first initial, middle initial, first initial of the last name represents the public side. The lowercase is representative of the private side. So it's a mix. And of course, all uppercase, which is on almost everything you have, represents a full loss of your rights and freedoms as you venture into being a non-living entity, state-created trust, straw man, if you will, nom de gore, which means your war name, entity. In Black Law's dictionary, it's called capitis demutia maxima, or demutio. Means full loss. You've waived being under the Constitution as a constitutional citizen. Right here, you've gone from being under constitutional law, which is protected by the Supreme Court, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all that good jazz. And you've gotten underneath theirs. Now, we all know, or at least you should, that up the ladder from there, because they're all part of the bar. Bar is the British Accreditation Registry. They're all considered FARA, which is Foreign Agent Registration Agreement Act. But they're all foreign entities. It doesn't matter what the name or that it's your best friend from down the street. They're all considered foreign because they all link back up through Washington, D.C. They're here to do business and for profit. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you know what it is and you choose to do business with them on an international level, which technically means there should be an international contract. We'll leave that alone for now. All right, so as always, don't forget to hit that bell, like, and subscribe. This is your favorite man in blue, black, and white, the Bad Wolf, bringing you some more fire information that you guys can study for yourselves tonight. Now, your name, if you really want to have a private name, because once again, you were born in North America, which means that you should have a North American name, which is a Native American name. So for me, instead of James C. Lovett, which is a name already in the correct format for a public transmitting utility or to become a public officer or officer of the state or of the government, my name should have always been James Cash of the Lovett family, the tribe of Lovett, the Lovett Nation, the House of Lovett, the Lovett clan, whatever you want to call it. You can even make up your own name if you want, because you own your own vessel, you own this body, you can change it. But legally, you are still strapped to the public side because you have that legal name. Now, they want us to be the surety of it and accept it for financial and physical purposes, but you don't have to. That's why we put out the affidavits, okay? That's also why we'll say that I'm the authorized agent only, which it says on your checks. If you ever take a look at your check, you'll see at the bottom where you sign, there's an MP on the end. It says micro print. That's what the MP stands for, micro print. It's not a line that you're signing above. If you look at it closely, the microscope, you'll see that it says authorized agent only, authorized agent. So all I'm saying is I'm the authorized agent of that name, but I assume no liability, physical or financial, which is why we use UCC 1-308. I'm not entering into anything that I don't fully understand. I'm not waiving my rights. Okay, so moving into the private. So you've got your public name. That is what it is. You can change that name to the courts, but you've legally changed it, so your legal entity just has a new legal name. The private side, there's no law that states that you cannot have multiple names unless you are supposed to be known or recognized as just one thing, but usually most people are not held underneath those confinements. So there actually is no actual law. And even if it was in the political sphere that there's a law, if that denies you of a right or a freedom, then constitutional law, which supersedes all of the other laws, come into play. Unless you have an exclusive contract and you've signed away your rights on purpose, knowing that. So I don't know why you would do that, but some people do, so it is what it is. All right, so you need to start establishing, if you choose. Now remember, everything here is from your favorite non-belligerent, non-combatant, treaty of the United States, friend of Washington, D.C., long live the new king, and all that good jazz. All right. And to all the other respected bodies out there that like to watch my channels. Remember, guys, if you see anything here, I don't mind that you guys use my information to make your videos on your own YouTube. Just send me a shout out for the love of God. Just say, hey, go check out my man, James C. Lovett, the Bad Wolf on YouTube. You know, that's it. It ain't going to take nothing away from you. I mean, if you're looking at me taking from mine, why don't you just send a little shout out? That's it. Or send a donation, whatever. All right. So now that I'm in my mind understanding what's all going on and I have the right to the private sector using my private side as a non-resident and a national of the United States operating under the Constitution, also known as a state citizen of the Republic. So James Cash Money, we'll just call it that, of the Lovett Nation, I need to start creating and redeveloping that private side. Now, I could use James C. Lovett and drag the straw man back over into the private, but everything they have is going to say, well, we don't get that semantics with the whole use of this upper and lowercase thing. It's not a thing. And they would be wrong, and the Supreme Court has already proven that. But it also says it in the very book that they all get their information from. Okay, this is their law book. What does it say? Black's Law Dictionary. This is what they use. I'm just using your stuff. So instead of dragging the straw man, which is where a lot of people mess up with their affidavits, over, it's not really messing up. If you have all caps James C. Lovett, and then which is on your birth certificate issued from the state of, and then you were saying your name in lowercase, James Cash Money Lovett, is in fact a private entity. Because all uppercase is a vessel, it's a death name, it's your public transmitting utility. So all lowercase represents your freedom, but because it is so alter ego, so close to being and looking and resembling and moving like the all caps name, you need to distance yourself from it. That's why you want to use your given name. That's why on many things, not many anymore, there used to be a lot of files when you deal with the government or certain agencies or whatever else, they would ask you for your given name instead of your legal name. Your given name means that you're in the private. You're doing things privately. Not everything needs to run through the government or the state or the county. These are all separate entities. Some of them work together, but still yet you are their boss in the private. In the public, not so much, because you waived that. You went from being the CFO of a corporation, technically the CEO too, but whatever, to the janitor underneath them. So utilizing a private name for some people can be positive because you're separating yourself from that shield, which is an all caps name, which is there to take the brunt of your discharges and your things you've done in the public. It is there for taking the abuse. It's a shield, the vessel that protects your real vessel, the real you. All right, so I digress. Wolf, how do we get there? All right, well, it's not done overnight. You can do the affidavit process and say, James C. Lovett, all capitalized letters, is a, well, you can get my affidavit. It has it all that stuff already in there. Make it simple. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, take too long. But then underneath it, you would say James Cash Money of the Lovett Nation, the Nation of Lovett, the House of Lovett, the Lovett House, whatever you want to call your name, it represents you, the living person, in the private sector. Public sector, all caps name. Private sector, lowercase name. And then house of, tribe, clan, whatever you want to name. You can even go Bob's, what is Jor-El of the house of whatever you want to name. All right, little throw out there to Superman. House of Wayne, whatever. It's your decision. But now you need to start building up your private side. So one of the first things you want to do when moving into the private and establishing your private name inside, you can add yourself on as an authorized user to your credit cards. Yep. So grab your credit card statement. They said, you want to add anybody as an authorized user? Yes, I do. Some of them will ask for a social. Some of them ask for a name. You don't have to put the social or whatever. But if you're going to use the social or the EIN to represent this authorized user, go to irs.gov. And if you want, you can create it as a taxable entity or a non-taxable entity. That's up to you. Get the EIN, then use the EIN and add that entity with your same given name or private name, faith name, ecclesiastic name, whatever, as an authorized user. Once you do that, you're going to be building credit on this other private side for you. So does it bring you a little bit into the public? A little bit, but because it's not a registered entity to the state, you're still in the private, okay? So what else can you do? Get your electric bill. Contact them or go online and tell them, I want my bill sent to me in this particular name. Go online and say, I want you can change the billing address or the name. You still got to pay it. They don't care about that. But now you're building a paper trail that you have a private name, given name, ecclesiastic name, faith name, whatever, and you can use these things to then get other things done. Okay? So some places might say, oh, we can't do that for you because you don't have any mail. Well, now you've got your electric bill and you've got a credit card either with your picture on it or whatever with that entity name on there. So you're building your private side. Right now, you only have your private side in your mind and somewhat on your affidavit. You don't have a paper trail of it. So another way we talked about previously was doing the passport and updating it with a DS 5504, getting 2 people to do your D60, 1 apiece, backing up the use of the name and resubmitting it, or doing the same. Yeah, so that's how you would do it if you already have your passport done. Okay. Remember, U.S. citizens, by their codes and statutes, are not supposed to have any titles of nobility, no royal titles, no lord, sir, ma'am, or no, ma'am is fine. Duchess, countess, whatever, sir, king, whatever. L. So if you create your private side and you start using that name, or those salutations to your name, you're telling them that I can't possibly be a U.S. citizen, but you're still yet a national of the United States and a state citizen in the private. You can contact your cell phone company and get that bill. You can transfer your bank accounts into the name of that entity or a trust. Okay. And you remember, if you do that, you want to have a 0 interest bank account that represents being in the private. If you accept the 1 or 2 cents that come in there, the interest bearing, well, that's a public account. So you don't want that. All right. It's not worth it, at least to me. So you can also take your vehicle. Now, if you watch other right to travel vehicles, if you choose to do that part, then you should know how to do that. If not, go watch those videos. But if you have your title to your vehicle, sign the title over to the trust or to the private name. And then it would be good to record that with the DMV to let them know that it's no longer in that private or that public entity. You can also just send a letter or letters to yourself. Okay, sounds weird, right? But on the inside, put your affidavit. I'm a non-resident. I am, the name James Charles of the Lovett family, the Lovett Nation, is a non-resident. Why? Because they don't have they don't have you read that name registered to the state as a voter. All right. So if you're moving out of the public back into the private, that's one of the things you might want to cancel. All right. So essentially, anywhere that you can change your name and have it recorded, you can even go and get email accounts with your new private name, using that as proof. Anywhere where you can to do that would be good, great, fantabulous, fabulous. But, and I should say, I want to say, keep your public side for when you need to use it. Okay, because at some point in time you want to use the police or the this or the that. So you're gonna say, well, are you a U.S. citizen? I need proof that you are. So you're gonna need that private side, because those are, once again, private things. Yes, the police officers are private, but they're a part of a PMA, a private members association, that's so big it's considered public because they all network together. But all these things are private membership associations, like almost all of them across the board. They're just so big that they appear to be public. They're open to the public, meaning their people. Okay. So you'll always have that public side as long as you don't fully, cut up your cars and toss them to the side. And I don't recommend doing that, because at some point in time, you're going to want some of their benefits and privileges. Once again, it's not about getting rid of them. It's about pushing them back into their sector and separating the public from the private. Those two should never mix. The moment you try to do those things, or you're not far enough away, they're going to pull you into that jurisdiction. All right. So guys, that's really it. Not a terribly long video. So on the way out, don't forget to hit that bell, like, subscribe, and I'll get the lights. That's how you move and separate to a good degree your public and your private side. Each one of those hemispheres should be pulled apart, and you then operate each one of them as you see fit. That's what the founding fathers always wanted. Problem is that we've been groomed since we were children to always be, which is actually one of their words, the child, to be in the public as taxpayers, taxable entities, because we took the benefits, we took the privileges. So is it a cold world outside of the gates of the city? It can be. It's not exactly always easy being in the private, okay? Because everything is so public-based that you have to find ways sometimes to, well, whether it's like insurance or, you know, whatever it is, there's always going to be a way to operate from the private side. It's just the average person out there in company is used to dealing with the public. So know what you're doing before you do it. Figure out if that's what's good for you, what you want to do. Just because I'm telling you about this information doesn't mean you guys have to do it or anything else mentioned here, nor anybody else's YouTube channel. Use your own discernment, vet the information for yourself, and then make a decision. You can always go back from the private to the public, public to the private if you choose. Some people say, well, what's the benefit of being in the private? Oh, the benefit. How about enjoying your freedoms and your rights as a boss, a beneficiary over the very people who keep you trapped on a daily basis and take your money and your land by taxes and whatever other means, deprivation of rights, color of law, pretending to be things that they're not, and strengthening a foreign agent or agency here that is not American. Go ahead and mention America in the courtroom. Go ahead and mention the Supreme Court, the Constitution for the United States of America. When was the last time you seen a cop car or whatever else with the word America on it? Or any of their paperwork, or any of their tickets, or most of these corporations. That's why I personally love seeing the United States of America right here, upper and lowercase lettering. America. All right, but if you don't want it, you don't have to. But that's also why I love the trolls out there who, on rare occasions now, which is nice, so thank you for that, you know, stop bothering me. There's still going to be people who go, oh, that's always going to be. But those people who don't research the information first before contacting me, these trolls, you are traitors to the United States of America. And if that's what you want to be, hey, so be it. Because my country is better than your corporation. Just saying. So at the end of the day, you should probably know what side you're on and how to operate business internationally. But if you're happy inside the cage and it looks gold to you, looks rusty to me from the outside, but that's your choice. This information is not for everybody. It's not for people who are actively trying to continue to 100% be U.S. citizens. There's nothing wrong with that. There's lots of benefits and privileges over there. Enjoy your licenses. And make sure you obey your leaders and commanders. Otherwise, for the rest of you guys, these are ways that you can enjoy your freedoms if you choose. You can bounce between them as long as you have your distinct things that you're operating them in. Do not mix the sides, because by lowest common denominator, you will be pulling everything private into theirs. Because if you taint the cake with unicorn poo, even though it's pretty, least I assume so. I've never seen it. Then the whole cake has unicorn poo in it. Even if it's a little piece. That's what happens in this world in the public. All right. So that's it, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Stay out of trouble. Self-govern. Do business. Handle yourself appropriately. Self-govern. And I will talk to you guys later. More videos to come because you guys love it. Wait, I'm going to love it. Yeah, that's right. In the public. Talk to you later.